Please welcome your host, Nick Aldinger.
All right, welcome to the sixth and final installment of this year's Business Builder Insights. I'm your host, Nick Aldinger. It's been an honor hosting this show over the past 8 months, and I can't believe we finally made it to the end. Since we started this program back in September, we've had topics such as the Treasure Valley's economic outlook, proven methods for a sustainable company, understanding the metrics needed to drive profit, creating passionate employees, and scaling your company with the 10X mindset. If you missed any of these past episodes or would like to watch again, you could view all the replays on businessbuilderday.com or search Business Builder Insights on YouTube. We have another great show for you today, and we're thankful you have joined us for Business Builder Insights. This is a thought-provoking 6-part speaker series focusing on helping you, the business owner and decision makers, develop a strategy to help scale your company. Business Builder Insights is absolutely free, and our goal is to equip you with the tools and resources necessary to positively affect your bottom line. In today's segment, we're going to wrap up all the prior episodes and sit down with Brent Oetken, where he will be walking us through simplifying for success. As business owners and entrepreneurs, we often find ourselves wearing multiple hats and not finding enough time in the day to accomplish our tasks effectively. Brent will discuss why it's imperative we break that cycle, and will be giving you the tools necessary to simplify for success. But before we introduce Brent to the stage, I want to thank our sponsors for making this show possible. Our sponsors are heavily involved in the business community and are also excellent resources for any small and medium-sized business owner. I would like to thank our premier sponsors, Strategic Tax Solutions, BBSI, and Profit Creek. I'd like to thank our media sponsor, Iliad Media Group, and this month's session sponsor, IBL Events. And now we are only 9 days away from our signature in-person event, Business Builder Day, on May 6th at the Galaxy Event Center in Meridian. We have an exciting day full of B2B networking, seminars, workshops, and we're going to be showcasing some of the best companies the Treasure Valley has to offer. Here's just a sample of some of the seminars and workshops we have lined up for you this year. We have our own Brent Oetken, who will be presenting Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business. This is your opportunity to meet Brent one-on-one as he will dive deeper into what it takes to implement an operating system in your business. We have a couple workshops, starting with Emotional Intelligence in Business by Brenda Lee. In this interactive workshop, Brenda is going to cover the emotional intelligence and the impact it has on businesses, and will explain why it's essential to specific growth needs. And backed by popular demand from our last Business Builder Day, the Small Business Administration's Irene Gonzalez will be conducting the workshop, Analyze the Health of Your Business. This is so important, probably more than ever. And BBSI will be presenting People Are Your Brand. And this is where Jason Williams and Amanda Munford will be sharing business owner stories of hiring and retaining the best and exiting the rest. It's all about the ABCs. And by the way, if you haven't heard Jason and Amanda speak, you're in for a treat. And if you're in need of sales training, there's no one better than Jim Stevens with Sandler Training, and he will be presenting Building a World-Class Sales System. And for all the businesses out there with funding questions, we have an amazing panel, Making Money Work for You, Business Funding Solutions for Sustainable Growth. This will be led by our moderator, Karen Appelgren with Idaho Commerce. And her guest panelists include Bill Kurth, Corey Jacobson, and Denise Dunlap. This is truly an all-star cast when it comes to funding. And if you missed our segment a few months ago with Smith Miller, he will be presenting the seminar, Do You Have Unclaimed R&D Tax Credits? Smith Miller and his team at Strategic Tax Solutions can not only work with your current CPA, but potentially save you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in unclaimed tax credits. We also have Tina Salisbury, a senior international trade specialist with the Idaho Commerce, who will be presenting Exporting. Learn how to grow your business internationally and diversify. This is a must-attend seminar, especially if you're a small, medium-sized business wondering what it takes to start exporting your products. Our exclusive luncheon seminar speaker is Ruben Arteaga with Gravis Law, and he'll be presenting the top 10 mistakes of business owners. This is a ticketed event and will include lunch, so please reach out to IBL Events if you're interested in attending this noon seminar. And lastly, we have our featured keynote speaker, Darrell Calton, CEO of Iliad Media Group, where he will be presenting What Now? Going from Surviving to Thriving. We're actually going to hear from Darrell later on today, and he'll give us a little bit more insight on what to expect from his keynote address. Now, Business Builder Day will conclude with an exclusive after-hours networking event sponsored by Gavent from 3 to 5 p.m. and is exclusive for business owners and executives. There are only a few $25 tickets remaining. So if you are a business owner interested with connecting with other like-minded decision makers, please scan the code on the screen and reserve your spot today. The full schedule and seminar times are all live on businessbuilderday.com. Seminar seating will be limited this year and will be a first-come, first-served basis, so please register as soon as possible at businessbuilderday.com. All right, while we set the stage, let's hear a quick message from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Brent Oetken, where he will break down what it means to simplify for success. We'll be right back.
If you're looking to grow your bottom line, join us to gain resources on growth strategies, social media, fraud protection, workplace culture, hiring, and more. Register to attend Business Builder Day, a free event for business professionals, May 6th at the Galaxy Event Center.
The internet is more important than ever, so why settle for unreliable? TDS Fiber Internet is all fiber all the way to your home. It's ready for anything. Video calls and video games? Yep. Smartphones and smart homes? You got it. Cable and DSL speeds are okay, but with TDS, files upload up to 40 times faster. So check the fine print. If you don't have great upload and download speeds, you don't have all fiber internet. Get the internet of the future. TDS Fiber Internet.
All right, we're back, and we're here to talk about simplifying for success. The concept makes sense in reality, but businesses are often anything but simple. I find myself as a business owner wearing many hats, and I'm not as intentional as I'd like to be. But today we're going to talk about what it means to simplify success with Brent Oetken, who's a professional EOS implementer. Yep. And again, EOS, for those that have been watching the show, know that stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. But if you've been following this show for the past 9 months, you're familiar with Brent and the Traction segment. But if you're just joining us for the first time, Brent implements a proven system with simple tools to help business owners and leaders really clarify their vision, really create accountability and discipline to gain consistent traction and develop healthy teams so that they work together. Welcome, Brent.
Thank you.
And again, Brent, over the past 9 months, you've been going with the Traction segment, but we really didn't get to know about you and who you are and what you do. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about your journey and how you got to be an EOS implementer?
You bet. Yeah, I've lived in Idaho pretty much my entire life. Grew up in Council, just a few hours north of here, and great place to grow up as a young boy. But tough to raise a family there, and so my folks ended up moving to Coeur d'Alene, and when I was in high school, and also started a computer business. So they had computer and networking company, and that was quite successful, but it was a lot of challenge in that business. But learned a lot about entrepreneurship and really got the bug, if you will, in that business. After high school, I moved down here to finish my degree at BSU, and we decided to expand that business and open a branch office down here. And it was great. I was able to kind of move up more into the management side of the business and help run the business. And it was also a wonderful time, but we kept running into these issues of finding the right people and being able to get kind of where we wanted to go. And we worked hard, but it was very difficult to actually get the results we wanted. And so we ended up selling that business at the end of the 90s, and I was recruited by a Fortune 500 company, worked with them for a while. It was great, learned a lot about scaling businesses and teams and that, but also learned I'm not a big business kind of guy. So started a webcasting company, so much like Valiant Studios here, but we would travel remotely and stream events over the internet. That was great. Learned to travel and get paid to travel, which was awesome, but also realized that the startup world is tough. There's so many things you have to do and the cash and all that's required for that. So I was in the process of buying another business and was introduced to Traction, the book Traction by Gino Wickman, and another book called Get a Grip, kind of a companion book in the Traction library. And I instantly connected with it. It was exactly what we needed back in the computer company and really in all my businesses. And it really helped pull together and kind of crack the code on how you could be successful in business. And there's just such a huge need for entrepreneurs to be able to have access to that I ended up becoming a professional implementer. I've been implementing EOS since 2016.
Great.
Yeah.
So let's dive into that just a little bit. We were talking about it at the opening segment here, is, myself included, we, as business owners, we tend to wear a lot of different hats.
Exactly.
But what are some of the biggest hurdles owners face when it comes to trying to simplify?
Busyness is really an epidemic right now in our businesses. We are, like you said, wearing so many hats, trying to do so many things that we don't really have time, and we don't give ourselves the space to work on our business. We are just constantly working in the business and running from challenge to challenge. And so I would say busyness is a huge hurdle that people have to overcome. They have to give themselves permission to work on the business. But it's not as simple as just having permission. It's also having the tools and the structure. There's plenty of desire to do that. It just seems very difficult for people to do. So busyness is a huge obstacle. The other one I would say is what I call whack-a-mole management. And what I mean by that is we tend to an issue pops up, we tackle that issue, and then something pops up over here and we tackle that issue, and we just keep kind of going back and forth from issue to issue, and before we know it, we're just kind of chasing our tail, and it's super frustrating. And so really what Gino found as he was implementing or creating EOS was that entrepreneurs struggle with about 136 things at any given time. We just have a ton of stuff we're dealing with. And what he realized is that it's really 6 key components that we really need to be focusing in on. And if we strengthen those 6 key components, then that makes a critical difference. And so let me put that model up on the screen if it's not already. The 6 key components apply to every business, right? And it doesn't matter if you're currently using EOS or not using EOS at all. These 6 key components are in your business. So the first is your vision component. You've got to be crystal clear on where you're going with the business, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you're wanting to do with the business. Getting everybody in alignment with that. You're not going to be able to accomplish your vision without great people. So we have to really understand, what does great people mean for your organization? And then we want to make sure that once we have the right people, we're really looking at the data, the numbers that are going to really help us understand exactly what's going on in the business. And what I find oftentimes is we either have way too much data or we don't have enough data, and either one is difficult. We need to simplify down to just 5 to 15 numbers that really help us know what we're trying to do in the business. And when we have those clear, we have the vision clear, we have the people clear, data component is strong. That really brings out any issues that we need to deal with. And so that's where we get into the issues component. And the issues component is really just trying to find as many issues as we can and solve for the root cause of those issues. Oftentimes what we find in business is we're just trying to get through the week, and so we're kicking the can into next week. And so we're not really addressing the issues like we should be. The 5th component is the process component, and this is really just the right and best way to accomplish and run your business the way you need to run it. And again, we're so busy, we neglect this component oftentimes, but this is really what gives you that cadence, really helps things to work really well. And then the last component is the traction component. And the traction component is is really the accountability and discipline to execute on the business and to get things done, bring your vision down to the ground and make that a reality. So that's the EOS model. Those are the 6 key components. We'll jump to the next slide later. But that's really what I find people struggle with, is they're not strengthening those 6 key components.
And you really laid out these 6 components really well. And are there other hurdles that people need to be aware of when it comes to EOS?
Yeah. So one of the hurdles that one of probably the biggest ones that people face is the people component. 82% of employers really struggle with people, and it's just a challenge. And what I find is they love their people. They want to do their best thing they can for their people, but it's very difficult to make that happen. And so Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, coined the phrase "right people, right seats," and that's an awesome concept. The challenge is how do we actually implement that, and how do we make that a reality? How do we help employers and leaders really understand that they do have the right people in the right seats? And so it's important to understand that, maybe for context, is that there's a Gallup poll that was done that said 32% of employees are actively engaged in the business. 51% are not engaged at all. They show up, they do their thing, but they're really not engaged in the business. And 17% are actively disengaged, which means you have people who are actively, you're paying on your payroll, you're actively taking you away from your vision and what you're trying to accomplish. And so it's a big challenge. And so one of the tools that we use to help with that is what we call the People Analyzer. So we'll throw that. You got a preview of that just a second ago, and I hit the wrong slide, but we'll pop that back up here. The People Analyzer is just a quick tool to be able to help you understand from a core values perspective, do they fit our company? And then also from the role that they're in, the seat that they're in, do they fit? And it's just kind of a gut check. It just helps you kind of to understand, are these folks the right people for your organization? It doesn't mean that they're good or bad. It just means, are they the right fit for your organization or not? So the People Analyzer is a great tool for that.
Well, and it sounds like, there's a lot of frustrations that entrepreneurs struggle with. What are the main frustrations you find when dealing with business owners, and how do you keep them or help them really to start simplifying and getting the success they want?
Yeah, so there are 5 frustrations for a leader, an entrepreneur typically faces. A big one is that, in fact, I have a slide for those. Let's put those up on the screen now. The first one is the lack of control. They just don't have enough control. Second is everybody has their own agenda. It gets back to kind of the people component here. And I'll come back through these and talk through them a little bit more. The third one is profits or cash flow. There's just a challenge with enough profits. Fourth is they're stuck. They grow, they're going along, things are seemingly great, and then all of a sudden they just get stuck. And so that's a big frustration. And then fifth is nothing's working. They keep trying things and nothing ever seems to really work. So let me dive into those individually just real quickly. So the first one, not enough control. This really comes down to, and if you're an entrepreneur, you probably experienced this, it's the challenge of really, are you, for the time that you're spending, are you feeling like you're in control of the business, or is the business in control of you? Oftentimes, leaders are frustrated that their team isn't performing to the level that they need, and they're not getting the results they're looking for. And so they really struggle with that. And they just feel like they're out of control with their business. And oftentimes the result is we just work harder. I'm just going to just pour myself into my business. I'm going to just try harder. I'll just do it myself. And that's a recipe for disaster, personally, in your health and your relationships, but also for your business. It's stunting your business. It's keeping you from being able to accomplish what you really want to accomplish in your business. The next one there, everybody has their own agenda. This comes down to the people component and the vision component of your business, and really understanding, is everybody on the same page with what we're trying to accomplish? And oftentimes we think of like nefarious people or bad people in the business that are trying to sabotage us. But oftentimes, even these people that are actively disengaged that we talked about, they're good people. They don't know what's expected of them. We haven't clearly identified that. or they're just not right for the seat, and we have them in a position that they shouldn't be in. And it really, it hurts them as much as it's hurting the business. And we need to be able to let them go or move them into another position in the business so that they can be the best version of themselves and help the company as well. So that one's a big frustration for people. The third one there, the profits and cash flow, is just kind of a perennial problem. People just don't seem to have enough profits, and whether the business is growing and scaling out or things are tough, people are really struggling with having enough profit and cash flow. And what I find is these employees honestly just don't understand. They haven't been trained, they haven't had the experience. So I was with one of my clients and we were kind of going through an exercise, a cash flow exercise, and it opened their eyes, the other people on the leadership team, and they realized that, wow, I didn't realize that my activity over here in the business had such an impact on the performance of the company. And so that's a frustration, but there is ways to fix that. The fourth one there, being stuck or hitting the ceiling, it's going to happen. And as your business grows, you're going to hit a ceiling. And you've got to recognize that, but then there are things you can do. And so in EOS, we talk about the 5 leadership abilities of what you need to do in order to be able to break through the ceiling every time. And interestingly enough, the first one is simplify. And so the topic for today, you really do have to simplify the business. And then finally, number 5, nothing's working. This one kind of breaks my heart because so many entrepreneurs try so many things and they're really trying. They want to break crack the code, really get to where they want to go. When I talked about our computer company, we worked super hard and we cared about our people and we tried, but we just couldn't quite get there. And so we typically read books or talk to other people or do trial and error or go to seminars and we implement something for a time. But it doesn't really last and it doesn't really work and it gets super frustrating. And the end effect of that is entrepreneurs lose their dream, they lose their vision, sometimes they lose their company. But it's just, it's sad, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can break through that and not be stuck with nothing working.
Well, and these 5 frustrations, they're real. I mean, all 5 of these that you mentioned are stuff, maybe there might only be a few, but these are real problems and frustrations that people encounter on a regular basis. Now, I think I probably gave you a few softballs to start it up because this is stuff that like the back of your hand. But let me give you maybe just a little tougher question is, how is EOS different? People have been building companies in this country for hundreds of years. What does EOS do that's really different? I mean, how is this different than just being another flavor of a month or a fad? Because, sometimes honestly, when EOS is presented, it seems like, oh, this is a gimmick, right?
Exactly.
So can you help us understand why EOS is different?
Exactly. So what happens is, if you look at a business, and it's not specific to EOS, any business that's doing well, they've got great people in the organization. They seem to have plenty of cash. The owners seem to have time. They're happy. Everybody in the company seems to be happy. They don't struggle with really even finding people. It seems like everything just seems to run really well. And it's like, okay, so what is it about that company that works so well, and other companies in the same industry, same market, they struggle? And what we find is that it comes back to these 6 key components. These 6 key things, these 6 key areas of the business, if they're not strengthened and they're not running at 100% or close to it, then the business is going to struggle. And so EOS has simply gone out, and Gino, as he was putting this together, went out and really identified what are the key things, the key tools, the key parts to helping a business be successful. And then he just put that into a system that's actually implementable into a company. And there's no magic pills. There's no mystery to these tools. These tools have been around for 100 years. They'll be around for 1,000 more. The reality is it's not the tool as much as it's actually implementing this tool and actually the structure and the process to make this happen. And so he lays this out in his book, Traction, and he talks about the EOS system, the entrepreneurial operating system, and what it does and how it works. And it is very simple, and it is designed and been refined for entrepreneurs to be able to implement in their business. And there are other systems out there. And I encourage people, find the system that works for you. The beauty of EOS, in my experience, is it's very holistic. It's end to end. It covers all of these 6 key components, and it is very simple that business owners can actually use in their business.
So you mentioned the book Traction by Gino Wickman. And by the way, it's a really good read, and probably every entrepreneurial or business owner probably should read it. But why can't I just read the book? And is that just good enough? Is that sufficient in terms of understanding EOS?
Yeah, great question. So kind of gets back to that 5 frustrations and number 5, nothing's working. We can take in the data. We have lots of knowledge. There's lots of information out there. There's lots of videos and seminars and things that you can take. The challenge is actually implementing it. So by no way do I want to say don't read the book and don't try to implement those things. That's great, and you should do that. I think that would be fantastic. The challenge is, though, if you really want what you read about in Traction, you really want the results, and you really want to get to the point where your business you're getting everything you truly want from your business, then I have yet to see anybody that's been able to do that successfully by just picking up a $20 book and being able to read it and implement it. As a professional implementer, I've been doing this for a number of years, and I look at my implementations after having been trained and everything versus my implementations now, and it's vastly different, vastly better than it used to be. So I would think it would be hard to take the book and then try to do it on yourself. But that said, you will get a lot of benefit from that. And I would certainly encourage people to read the book and see the system for themselves. But the magic, if you will, we talked about that in the last question of what makes this different. It's the execution, and having that implementer come alongside you, hold your feet to the fire, help you be accountable, answer questions, keep you in doing EOS purely is huge. And Blake Hansen in our last episode talked about this, and he had tried several different systems on his own and then implemented EOS and said that really the best money he's ever spent in his company has been when he hired an implementer to help them implement EOS. It's just having that third party, that other person come alongside you and help you with that is what makes such a critical difference in the business.
Well, and we also have business owner bias. Right? I mean, so you're talking about the reason why you have that accountability factor. I mean, I know for myself is sometimes as we go through this process and this journey of growth is sometimes we look at as if maybe nothing's wrong. And we might not be able to see it as business owners. And by having that third party, that accountability coming and saying, no, the problem is actually you. You're in the way. Get out of the way. This was going back to the segment with Blake that you referenced. That was a big thing is, you're the problem. Get out of the way, right?
Exactly.
Into that growth. And sometimes I could imagine is we have that business owner bias that's in front of us, and we need to take those blinders off. And sometimes the only way we could do that is with this third party, this accountability, and that's where that implementer comes in.
Exactly. It's so easy to feel like we've got to do everything. We want to kind of be in control of everything. But when you're doing it right, you are getting people that can actually do those jobs better than you can. And you want to be able to bring people in that are superior to you in a lot of ways when it comes to these different roles in the business. And that's where you're really going to find great success. And so sometimes getting out of your own way is important. Sometimes you're holding on to way too many seats, wearing too many hats, and you've got to be able to know when to let go of some of those hats and bring somebody else in to take those hats. And that's a big component as well. But you're right, having that bias, and then also if you're thinking about, like oftentimes what I find is people want to kind of change the system a little bit to tweak it for them. And the reality is EOS works purely. EOS as developed has been implemented in over 10,000 companies worldwide. It works, and it doesn't need to be refined and tweaked for every individual business. It just needs to be implemented purely. And when it does, it does fantastic things. But we have this in nature that we want to tweak things. And I've been there. I've tried to change EOS myself, and I keep coming back to the way it was originally done. And it's masterful in how it's presented. It's just we don't think it should be that way. We think it should be better or something. Kind of a natural way of doing things.
So let's recap a little bit about simplifying for success, right? You talked about the 6 components of EOS that every business owner should recognize, right? Understanding those components, understanding issue resolution, the people analyzer. These are all things that you broke down in very good detail over the last 6 episodes of Business Builder Insights. But what it really means to simplify for success is really understanding those key components, working with someone like yourself, an implementer. And if someone's ready, to take the next steps, how would they contact you, or if they want to know more? Now, we know you're going to be at Business Builder, shameless plug.
Exactly.
Business Builder Day next week, May 6th. You're going to be live in person. They could come and talk to you one-on-one. But we could reach out to you, and if they want to have a consultation with you, I know you offer that service. But how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, so EOS honestly isn't right for everybody, and you need to be able to go through and identify, is this really the tool that we should use? Is this what we need right now? Maybe we need something different, and that's totally fine. Kind of my approach is if this resonates with you and you're like, yeah, I feel some of this, I've got some of those frustrations in my business, or I have some of these challenges. The next step would really be to schedule 90 minutes with me and your leadership team, and we'll walk through these 6 key components, help them understand those components and their role in how they can strengthen those components, the tools that we can use. I share a lot of the tools, like the People Analyzer, for example, and some of the others that they can use in their business and that they can take advantage of. And then it really is customized to your business, and so you'll be able to have a much more fruitful conversation with your team. It's very insightful. I don't charge for that, by the way. It's my gift just to help and to let people have this knowledge and see if it's the right fit for them. If it is, great. If not, I have yet to have anybody that hasn't found that extremely useful. So
great.
We'll put in the show notes, I think we're going to have a link to my schedule if people want to book that time. And if you book a time, then we'll connect beforehand to just do a quick check-in, and then we can have that session.
And I think we're also going to give some resources to the book Traction that you meant.
Yep.
And then also Get a Grip.
Yep.
So if anyone who's registered for this today, they're going to be receiving that packet tomorrow with not only your information, your calendar, but also some resources on those books as well. So Brent, you're a wealth of information. This last 6 episodes has been awesome. And again, if anyone missed some of these, you broke down each one of those 6 components in detail. They could go back and watch. They're live on YouTube.
Exactly.
But I just appreciate you. I know I'm going to talk to you here in just a few more minutes. But thanks for being an awesome resource. Thanks for all you do with our community. But thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you.
All right. So earlier in the show, we talked about Business Builder Day coming up on May 6th. And today we have our featured keynote speaker, Darrell Calton, CEO of Iliad Media Group. He will be joining us in just a little bit, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about his keynote presentation, which is What Now? Going from Surviving to Thriving. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages, and we'll be back with Darrell Calton. See you soon.
So, you're a business owner, or the marketing director, or the PR guy, maybe even lead of sales.
My office, right now, Jeff.
Problem is, you're likely all of these things and need Iliad Media Group to help you be heard and found. Get back to business as usual. You probably think you can handle all of the demanding marketing requirements to succeed in today's business world, telling yourself, it's fine if I miss some things. I can do it myself. I don't need help. My cousin's a graphic designer. Realistically, there's just way too much to do for one person. You need a team that can help get you found online, place your marketing in front of the right demographic, have your message heard by real people, be transparent about insights and reporting, craft a clear story for your brand, help grow your bottom line, and advise you as marketing specialists who have your best interest in mind. Whew. I think you know where I'm going with this. Introducing Iliad Media Group. We do the unusual so you can get back to business as usual.
Wow, BBSI, where have you been these last 15 years in my life? Hi, my name is Mia Paulus, and I am the CEO of an outsourcing company called The Center. We have been looking for a strategic partner to help us with compliance for our clients, specifically payroll, HR, workers' comp, and safety. After meeting with Jason a couple of times, it was great to know a company cared as much about entrepreneurs and executives as we do. I learned how much BBSI cares about the success of businesses they work with. And we are experiencing fast growth here at the center, and I'm excited to see what BBSI and the center can do together to simplify business for our clients so they can have the success and the quality of life that they deserve.
All right, we're back with Business Builder Insights, and I'm joined on the stage with the CEO of Iliad Media Group, Darrell Calton. If you don't know about Iliad Media Group, you might recognize their old name, which was formerly Radio Impact Group. This started in the late 90s, and they were an independent, and still are, an independent broadcasting group, and they're one of the longest running ownership companies here in the Treasure Valley when it comes to radio, TV, and newspapers. I'd like you to welcome to the stage right now, Darrell Calton, CEO of Iliad Media Group. Darrell, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, well, we want to hear a little bit more about your keynote address coming up on May 6th. But before we do that, can you tell the audience a little bit about Iliad Media Group and your journey with them?
You bet. We formally started, as Nick alluded to, as Impact Radio Group. You might know us as that. We've had a brand change, so to speak. But we started, my journey with the company started, the company under one roof started in early 2008. My journey started in August of 2008, and as you all know, the Great Recession happened starting in December of about 2008. So our company was born in fire, so to speak, is how we started. We were just very new. We had the best collection of the worst group of radio stations in town, and we have consistently worked to upgrade the signals. We've consistently worked to upgrade all of the programming, our community services, our service to the community, and the service that we provide to our businesses.
And you mentioned the Great Recession in 2008, and so obviously no one really expected what was going to happen with the COVID, but I know you were out there working and communicating not only with your teams because it had a really devastating impact on radio right at the beginning of the pandemic, but you didn't shy away from it. Can you talk about, and it's probably lessons learned because again, this isn't your first radio, but can you talk about that experience with your team and where you're at now because of your hands-on approach?
Yeah, Nick, we found ourselves when the pandemic started, we had actually pushed all of our employees and studios out into front rooms and in back bedrooms about a week before the governor issued the order. And we sat down and we looked at a couple of things. We looked at two questions I had to ask myself. Has this happened before in the history, in known history? And number two, have you seen something similar? And the answer was a resounding yes to both of those questions. In terms of us seeing it before, we had, as I said earlier, we had been born during the Great Recession. And number two, had this ever happened before? And we sat down, and I'm a great believer in history and the stories that we can learn from history. And we found out that the Spanish flu of 1918 was absolutely just as devastating. There was a smaller population in the state of Idaho, but the lingering effects of the Spanish flu of 1918 took about 2 years. And knowing that right out of the gate, I was in a position where we could sit down and start planning long-term for the exit. We talked with our employees a lot about the exit bar and keeping your eyes focused on the horizon and what that might feel like when you push that exit bar and we step out, hopefully into a recovery in another year or two. So we actually prepped for 2 years.
So, and then, when you did this transition too, because you were formerly Impact Radio Group and you transitioned to now Iliad Media Group, obviously it's far more than just radio, right? Can you talk a little bit about that transition and all the services now Iliad offers?
Sure, you bet. We decided that long ago, after we came through the Great Recession, that being a group of radio stations wasn't just enough. We needed to start pushing what we were really good at. And back then, we were great at social media, and all of the streaming and those types of things helped our business grow. So we were very fortunate in having learned how to push to talk, that walkie-talkie aspect, where radio you just turn on the knob and it comes out of the speaker. For us, we had that push to talk with our social media. So we started growing all of those brands, and it just made sense that we needed to push people into digital services, and we needed to have them understand that the important part about radio is what makes us important as a society, as human beings. We started out telling stories around campfires, and that's really what radio is. So we developed a system during the pandemic that was called Be Heard, Be Found, Tell Your Story. And that's what we help our clients do today. So we have a full digital division, we have a full storytelling division, and we have 13 radio stations, 7 in Boise and 6 in Twin Falls, Idaho. And we're really proud to be that independent group that's homegrown here in the state of Idaho.
Well, and we're happy that you're heavily involved in the community, and you do a lot for our community, by the way.
Thank you.
I know during the pandemic, you reached out to the business community, especially the small and medium-sized businesses, as being a resource. As the budgets were pretty much wiped out, and you were still reaching out and being a resource for that community, and I definitely appreciate you for that.
We'll talk a little bit about that during the keynote speech, but that was one of the things that we were most proud of, is that we were able to mobilize, and we put out 27,000 free commercials for businesses who were still deemed essential, right? You had that essential group. There was a lot of folks that people didn't know that they were open. So we pushed out 27,000 commercials in the first 6 weeks of the shutdown order for the non-essential businesses here in the Treasure Valley, and we did somewhere in the neighborhood of about 14 or 15,000 commercials for businesses. We would have them sign up, and we still hear from some of them, and some of them went on to become great clients even a year later. So I feel like some of that helped, and it certainly made us feel better, and it gave us something to do while we were taking cancellations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, again, thanks for stepping up to the plate for that community. It was needed really at that very important part of our time. We needed that support.
Thank you.
And we appreciate that. So you mentioned your keynote. So May 6th.
Yeah.
That's just next week, next
Yep.
Thursday. We're going to be at the Galaxy Event Center, and your keynote's at 9 a.m. And this year, your keynote is What's Next? Going from Surviving to Thriving. So can you give us a little bit about what to expect with that keynote coming up next week?
Yeah, you bet. I think really one of the things that we want to have everybody understand is, when I spoke earlier about those two questions, have we, has something like this happened in history, and have we seen anything like this before? We want to be able to impart to you some knowledge, we want to entertain you, and we want to give you some things to take home. And 3 of the things that we want to talk about, 3 words that also relate to 3 mindsets. We want to talk about the word fear and how debilitating that can be in a downturn during what I term a great event. A great event being something that affects your local, national, or regional economy by more than 20%. We want to talk about recognizing what the signs are. There's 2 stages to fear. There's also 2 stages to the word survive. What does that mean? What does it mean to survive? And how long can we do that? And then we want to take a look at the most important, the very important word, thrive. How do we thrive in an environment, even today, that's still sluggish? It's not what it was in 2019 or 2018.
Right. Well, I know I've listened to you speak before. You're an incredible speaker. I'm really looking forward to your keynote address next Thursday. And again, if you haven't registered, be sure to do so at businessbuilderday.com. Darrell, I appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time today. And if you haven't checked out Iliad Media Group, do so now. They're an amazing company. They're heavily involved in our community. Thanks again, Darrell, for being here today.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Well, stick around, and we'll be right back with Brent Oetken, and we're going to close out our final segment of Business Builder Insights. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in just a bit.
You know BBSI for the expertise and support our local business partners provide. Now discover an enhanced level of access and control with MyBBSI, a proprietary online portal that puts the power of information into the hands of you and your team. Streamline your human resources activities with 100% paperless onboarding. Simplify payroll with direct integration of data from TimeNet. Then calculate and process payroll in minutes. Put your data to work for you with powerful reporting tools and discover new insights into your business operations. Discover what MyBBSI can do for your organization. Call or write today to speak with a specialist.
If you're looking to grow your bottom line, join us to gain resources on growth strategies, social media, fraud protection, workplace culture, hiring, and more. Register to attend Business Builder Day, a free event for business professionals, May 6th at the Galaxy Event Center.
All right. Welcome back to Business Builder Insights. I'm Nick Aldinger, and with me is Brent Oetken. And again, I want to thank you, Brent, because this show almost never happened. So a quick story. Last year in July, I called Brent and told him Business Builder Day is not going to happen. Obviously, due to facility restrictions, we were going to have to cancel Business Builder Day. And Brent, you said, well, hold on. Let's not cancel Business Builder Day, but let's do something different. And I said, well, what do you mean, Brent? We really can't do all these seminars. And you said, well, you know what? Let's give an opportunity to take these hot topics that are affecting businesses and get some of these panelists to come on, and let's do a show. Let's do a show around Business Builder Day. And I want to thank you because it's thinking outside of the box and collaboration, right? It's something we've heard in the past episodes, is collaborating with other like-minded individuals, and good things could happen. And I'm glad you told me don't cancel, let's just do something different, because it turned out to be a really worthwhile experience. I've received probably more than anybody else listening to these speakers about topics affecting real life things that are happening in the small, medium-sized business world. But thank you for doing it. It's been an awesome experience, not only for me, but your segment, Traction, is so many people have been reaching out saying that's where really the rubber hits the road, right? Taking these tools and resources and putting them and implementing them in our business. It's truly made a difference. But thank you. And any final words before we wrap up our final episode of Business Builder Insights?
Well, I can't believe we're here already, that it's now to the end of this time. It seemed like just the other day we were coming up with this idea of what we should do for this segment and this series. And Nick, I just appreciate you. I appreciate the work you put into this. I know this has not been an easy task for you at all, and it's been a huge pivot. But I really think that this has been some really good content for our business owners, business leaders that have been struggling to try to either keep their businesses going during this time, or they've just been struggling because it's been a huge boon to their business in terms of the growth and things that they've been experiencing. So thank you so much for putting this on and taking this risk and stepping out there. It's been awesome. I think this has been very useful for our community. I hope to see it grow, and I'm excited for Business Builder Day. That's going to be a great event.
And I'm so excited to have an in-person event again.
Exactly.
It's been too long, and for all those businesses and speakers who held on, and we're finally here. We're going to be doing it next Thursday. So
I'm looking forward to talking to real people as opposed to talking to whatever camera I'm supposed to be looking at in the room here. So.
Well, and of course, we couldn't have done this without our sponsors, right? And again, we've said, thanks to them, but it wouldn't have been possible, Business Builder Insights, without the support of Strategic Tax Solutions, BBSI, and Profit Creek. Without your support, this wouldn't have been possible. So a shout out to Smith Miller and Jason Williams, and obviously yourself, Brent, for making this possible. This has been a really, really useful show, and hopefully it's been valuable to everybody else. And then I also just want to say thanks to Valiant Productions. This studio that we've been in for the last 9 months for this show, a high quality production is because of them and what they do behind the scenes. There's so much work that goes into doing this, but if you haven't checked out Valiant Productions, top-notch facility, top-notch team, but all they do behind the scenes is make this possible. So big shout out to them as well. So Brent, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if you want to check out Brent and all the other speakers that we talked about at the beginning of the show, we will see you in person next Thursday, May 6th, at the Galaxy Event Center, where we'll have our signature event, Business Builder Day. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you.